Every FIFA member is on this wheel, and whatever country it lands on, we have to sign an under-21 player from that nation, and we've been given Benin. It's not a great start, I'll be honest with you. They've got a few players playing in France's second division. This striker seems to have a lot of pace, but not much else. And that's going to be an issue because we're using the wheel to build a 25-man squad. Then I'm going to simulate 10 seasons into the future to see if they can win the Premier League. So I'm not happy with Andreas for our team. I don't think he's the player that's going to win us the Premier League. But luckily, we are playing a game of stick or twist. If we stick, we keep Benin and Andreas in the team, or we can twist and spin the wheel again, but we have to stick with the country that comes up on the wheel the second time around. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to twist and spin the wheel again and hope we come up with a higher ranking FIFA country, but we've been given Malaysia. We might have been better off sticking, you know. All the Malaysian players play in the domestic leagues. There's no one playing in Europe or South America. But this guy, Arif, he's got 18 caps for Malaysia and 5 goals from the right wing. I mean, he's worse than the guy we had before. So we have made a mistake here, but we've got to stick with Malaysia. Based on the number of international caps he's got, we've got to go for this guy. Right, let's spin the wheel again and hope for a higher ranking FIFA nation. I mean, give me England. That would be nice, wouldn't it? The wheel has given us Guinea-Bissau. It's a slow start, I must say. But Guinea-Bissau do have a left winger called Roger Fernandez who plays for Braga, only 17 years old, but he looks very good already, particularly in the physical department. I reckon we could see this guy develop quite nicely and be a very good left winger for the team we're trying to build. So Roger is joining the club. So where is the wheel going to take us next? We are off to, by looks of things, Mozambique. Most of them are playing domestically. The others are in the 3rd or 4th or lower divisions of Portugal. We're not spoilt for choice here. So I think we're going to twist. And hopefully we're going to get a higher ranking country than Mozambique. And instead we've been given, oh, this is much better, Switzerland, come on. For this pick, we're going for Aurelie Amenda, currently playing at Young Boys on loan from Eintracht Frankfurt. Physically, really impressive and is so good defensively, heading in terms of tackling. And he's only 20 years old, is going to get a lot better. That feels like a really good pick to me. More of that, please, magical wheel. We want to get a high-ranking FIFA nation up next, and we've been given Scotland. It could be a lot worse, I'll be honest. For me here, there are two choices. We either go for Ben Doak, a right winger who is very good and got high potential in the game. However, I think there's a good chance we could come across some good right wingers later on in the video. Is Calvin Ramsey the move instead? Just getting a world-class potential right back. And that could be our route to having a solid defence. Attack wins games, defence wins championships. I think Calvin Ramsey's the pick we go for. 2 nice picks in a row there. Is the wheel going to give us a hat-trick of nice picks, or are we going further down the... We're going to Uzbekistan. I tell you what, actually, maybe I was being a bit harsh on the Uzbekistan pick because this guy plays for Lens and he actually looks really solid as a centre-back. There's nothing that's really stand out about Kusanov, but he's tall, he's got good fundamentals, and he's only 19 years old. You know what, I'm going to take a chance on this guy. I think he could work out. That felt like a very nice surprise to receive that from Uzbekistan. Hopefully he works out in the team. Up next though, we are going to be going to Eswatini, which you may know as its previous name of Swaziland. I mean, this is the best player I can find from there, and he's not very good. So I think what we're going to do is twist. Let's spin this wheel again, and we have now been given... Oh, it was so close to Argentina, but it's San Marino instead. And we have to pick a player from San Marino now. Genuinely, I think we probably would have been better off actually sticking there. The only player that looks worth picking from San Marino at the age of 21 or under is Filippo Fabari, and there's not much to write home about here. They do have a 16-year-old goalkeeper though, and maybe we just take a punt on him instead? I mean, whatever happens, this San Marino player is not going to play. So let's just take a chance on a 16-year-old. Right, back to the wheel and finding out where we're going next. Please give me Brazil. And instead we've been given Namibia. There are literally 15 players in the entire Football Manager database from Namibia. I think this is an instant twist here. So let's spin it again and hopefully we get somewhere with a few more players than 15. That would be quite nice. And we've been given Mexico. Now that's such a good pick. Now, if we hadn't picked Roger Fernandez at left wing, I'd be so looking to bring in Guardado here. But they're pretty much the same player. Now, that's not the bad thing. We could get backups, but I don't think I'm convinced by his physical attributes. Instead, I have heard good things about Jesus Hernandez at Elche, but maybe he's not that good? Am I just bigging up Mexico for no reason? I thought they were good at producing young players. I don't know how good Omar Campos' potential ability is, but he looks a bit more like it at left back, and that does help with our defensive strength that we are focusing on. So actually, maybe Omar is the guy to bring in. It's not actually a bad back line at the moment, although we do need to get a better goalkeeper than that 16-year-old kid from San Marino. Right, up next then on the wheel, let's find out where we're going. And the answer is Tahiti. I mean, I'd love to go there in real life, but I don't think they've got very good footballers. I mean, there's more in my database than there were from Namibia, but again, I think we have to twist here. Watch the wheel now give us Vanuatu, because that would really rub salt into the wound there a little bit. I mean, it's not actually any better. It's Sri Lanka, who are one of the lowest ranked FIFA nations in the world. So the wheel has shafted us there completely. Interestingly though, they have players at Barnsley and Torquay, and I mean, I guess we're going to have to go with the guy at Barnsley. He's 17 years old at a League One club. That could actually indicate he's got something about him. I mean, ignore the fact he's a centre midfielder with 1 out of 20 for strength and 2 out of 20 for dribbling. Maybe he's got something about him. Vimal Yoganathan, welcome to the team and the centre of midfield. Okay, we are getting through a lot of a lower ranking FIFA nation. Surely at some point we've got to have some bigger countries coming up. And I tell you what, Costa Rica, which I've spelt wrong, Costa Rica are known for producing some good footballers. I think we could have something on here. They've got a lot of players playing all around Europe, actually, interestingly. But for me, I think Brandon Aguilera of Nottingham Forest on loan at Bristol Rovers in this first season is the player to go for. A centre midfielder, can play a little bit further forward as well, and it's an area where we're currently lacking. Maybe we should have twisted on that to get maybe a better European country. I mean, if we had twisted, this is what we would have got. It would have been Austria. I mean, I think we'll probably stick with them for our next pick, but knowing that we could have twisted and got Austria, maybe Costa Rica wasn't the best choice. But everything with hindsight is 2020, right? The name I'm hearing a lot about in Austrian football is Samson Baidu. Supposedly he's going to be the next big thing coming out of Austria. However, we have some pretty decent centre-backs already. Do we instead go for Yusuf Demir? But actually, I don't think I'm that convinced by his technical mentals or physicals. None of them are particularly standout. So let's go with my first gut feeling then. Samson. He's in the team. Our centre-backs are looking really good right now. I've got a lot of confidence in them. Defensively, we're going to be good. We need to get more attackers in. I'm not sure we're going to find that in North Korea. They had that guy who was really good at Juventus, but I think he's over 21 now, so won't be part of this. And there's only 15 players under the age of 21, and it's the same as Namibia. We are going to have to twist on this. So hopefully we get maybe South Korea. I think they've got some better footballers than North Korea. Instead, we have been given the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's not the worst pick in the world. They've actually got a pretty decent FIFA ranking. And I think I'm going to go for Isaac Shabangu. He currently plays for Al Nassr in Dubai. Has some decent physicals on him, and I think could be nurtured to play well on the left wing as potentially an inside forward. with his 10 finishing, 10 composure, get that up to more like 13, 14, 15, he could be solid, you know. Considering we had to pick from the DR Congo, that's actually a pretty solid pick. I'm quite happy with that. Our next pick, though, is going to have to be from St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean. If I wanted to sit on a beach and get a suntan, I'd go there. If I wanted a footballer, probably wouldn't go there. And there's literally only 9 under 21 footballers in the Football Manager data. I think, again, we are going to twist. And the twist is sending us all the way to Northern Ireland. They must have a couple of decent youngsters there. Oh, you know what they do, don't they? They've got one really good youngster. Connor Bradley. Of course, he's like, you know, an insanely good right back. But we already have Calvin Ramsey. Surely we can't get 2 amazing right backs and then run the risk of the rest of the team not being very good. So maybe we avoid Connor Bradley and go Jamie Donnelly instead. Spurs striker. We haven't got a good striker yet, and this guy actually could be very, very useful in the future. If his physicals were better, you know, these 11s were more like 13s or 14s, he would be an easy pick. We really don't have many attackers right now. I think for the sake of the balance of the squad, we've got to go Jamie Donnelly. I don't really feel too happy about it though. I feel like it doesn't sit right with me, but the next pick, either way, we are going to be going to Dominica, who have 7 under 21 players in the Football Manager database. Let's twist on this. And instead, we are going to be going to, it's not a whole lot better really, we're going to Chad. And we have to pick someone from Chad. They have 13 players under the age of 21 in the database. None of them are good, but this guy plays for Al Ain, who are one of the best clubs in Asia, and that has to count for something. He's a striker with 12 finishing, 9 composure, 12 pace. I mean, it's fundamentally, he could do a job. It's the best of a bad bunch. Let's get him in. I'm aware that we are halfway through the picks now. We've got 12 more to go, and we've really, I feel, been shafted by a lot. I mean, the Philippines. I mean, we're not going to find the next Messi there. Saying that, there is a Filipino player at Atletico Madrid, and he is a right back. We could do with a backup right back, and we could do a lot worse than Santi here. You know what? I'm going to do it. Let's bring him in. That just could be like a rare case of it actually working out quite nicely for us, particularly because he won't be starting. And if we had decided to twist, we would have been given Burkina Faso, which I don't think would have been any better. Saying that, they have won a couple of Africa Cup of Nations, and they've got a few players playing across Europe who look like they could do a job, you know. Adamo Nagolo, for instance, is a solid centre-back, and we could do with some depth there. Dango is a very fast right winger at Bournemouth, has got Premier League experience, but we are running out of spots in this team, and we need some real superstars in the team. Maybe we should go for one of these guys, but I'm going to twist. We need an England, a Spain, a Germany, a France, a Brazil, an Argentina. We need... Algeria could be better. Oh my, it is better. I have seen Bouani win several Ballon d'Ors in various Football Manager save files. He is the perfect inside forward on the right hand. Okay, this is hands down great. You're coming into the team. Oh, that feels good. That really justifies twisting on Burkina Faso. And now if we could get a top country, that would be good. And look what we've been given. USA. I know exactly who I want from the United States of America. It's Gabriel Slaninia, the goalkeeper. He will be our number 1. He will be perfect. Now, if we can be given, you know, France for the next Mbappe, if we can get Argentina for the next Messi, I'm not even going to bother looking for players from the US Virgin Islands. We have to twist here. And the twist has sent the wheel all the way around and given us Guinea. You know what? It could be worse. We are going to take Ilax Mariba. We need centre mids, and actually, he is very, very good. So back to the wheel, and I don't know we've actually picked anyone from South America. I don't think a South American country has come up at all. What has come up here though is Italy, and that's perfect. I think because we need some more centre mid balance, Cesare Casade would be a really good pick. Francesco Esposito is another option as a world-class potential striker though, but we already have Donnelly. I'm going to go Cesare. I just think that's the slightly safer option to have that stability in midfield. And if we could get another European nation or a South American nation up next, that would be great. We go to Japan, which is okay. And this is potentially where we get our next striker from. Hosoya has got 15 finishing, composure and pace a little bit low, but he would be backup and that's okay. I think we bite the bullet, let's not take any gambles or risks here. Another strike is needed, Hosoya it is. And Japan are usually pretty good at developing young players, so I'm sure he's got a big potential on him. But our next country is Angola. They typically do pretty well in Africa Cup of Nations, and they've got a lot of players playing in European leagues actually. Like, I'm very interested in Manuel Kisanga, who's playing at Sporting as a left winger, but there's not a huge amount about him. He's only 17 years old, like we can't tell too much just yet. Zito Lavumbo at Cagliari though could be very interesting as a third choice striker, but could also play on the right wing as an inside forward. So do we go Zito or do we twist? You know what, he looks good. He does look good. Let's go Zito. Let's get a little bit more current ability into this team. That felt like quite a bold choice to make. Potentially we should have twisted, and if we did twist, we would have been given Ecuador. And that's our first South American country. I think we'll pick from there anyway. You know, maybe we've done ourselves a favour. Hands down will be the best player in the team, Moises Caicedo. I think it's silly not to pick him. So we've got a pretty good centre midfield right now. What we don't have is a backup left back, and we need to get a backup left back, but it's not going to be from American Samoa. I'm not even going to entertain it. We're twisting on that straight away, and hopefully what comes back is a top tier nation like Australia. Look, they're certainly better than American Samoa, but I'm not seeing any left backs on this list. But I do know that Australia have Nestoroi Irakunda, who is kind of like Australia's Lamine Yamal. I think in real life he's joining Bayern Munich in game, so he has joined Bayern Munich in real life. If Bayern Munich want you, you must be good. So I think we'll get this guy in. But we still need a backup left back, and we could do with a better backup goalkeeper than the guy from San Marino. So we have to keep that in mind when we head to China, which could be interesting. They have a few players in European leagues, but none at any club that I would trust. So I think we twist here. And instead of going to China, hopefully Brazil comes up. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Instead, we get given South Africa, which actually is a bit of a treasure trove for players in Football Manager. They usually have some very good youngsters. This might be our chance to get a better backup goalkeeper. We have to choose someone from South Africa because we twisted on China. It's a position that we need. Let's get him in. Right, this is the penultimate pick of the draft. Hopefully we get a top tier nation here, but we have been given Moldova. I'll be honest, I don't have high hopes for Moldova. I've been looking through a lot of these players. No one looks good. So we're going to twist. I really hope this pays off, because if it doesn't, I've got egg all over my face. And we've been given Estonia. They actually do have a goalkeeper playing for Arsenal, which would have been helpful, but we've already got 3 goalkeepers now. A 4th. Probably not the best choice. There is a fairly decent centre mid playing in the Netherlands. I think we're going to have to go for him. Which means with our final pick, we desperately need a left back. And we're going to be going to Bulgaria to look for a left back. Bulgaria do genuinely have some really good young players. I mean, Marin Petkov, it looks fantastic, but he's a right winger. Mitkov could also be very good in the future, but he's an attacking player. To gamble, we're going to twist here. We are going to twist and just hope Brazil come up. And so with the final spin of the wheel, we need a good left back. We need a good country for left backs. And Ghana could be it. They have so much good attacking talent, Ghana. Ernest Numa, I would happily have him in the team. Fatawu, I would happily have him in the team as well. But the only left back they've really got is David Oduro, who's fast. That's about it, really. He's in the team. He's got to be in the team. That's literally the last play. We can't do anything other. It's got to be you. I was really hoping we'd get Morocco. I've just come back from a family holiday to Morocco, so I'm wearing the Moroccan shirt, which I was told by the seller in the souk it's 100% authentic, straight from Puma. The price suggests it wasn't, but, you know, I'll trust the guy. He also actually looked at me straight in the eye, and he spoke to my soul, really, when he said this. He said, I hope everyone subscribes to the TomFM channel. And you know, it really made me well up a little bit, actually. It was really sweet. We had a moment. So, you know, you don't want to let this guy down, do you? You know what to do. Now, if I was in charge of this team, this is how I'd line up. Putting our best players into a 4-3-3 and hoping we can get some goals from the wings. However, I am not going to be in charge of this team for the next 10 seasons. Instead, I've swapped every Man City player for our 25 picks, and I'm going to leave them in the capable hands of Pep Guardiola. Supposedly, this team are expected to come 10th in the Premier League this season, but I don't think they're going to stand a chance of saving themselves from relegation. That's because although we do have a few star players with very high current ability, which is out of 200, a vast majority of this team wouldn't stand a chance of going anywhere near a Premier League starting lineup. But the reason we're doing this over 10 seasons is because all these players can get better. I have set their potential ability to every player's max potential ability, and over the 10 years, we may see a few of them actually hit their potential abilities and become world-class players. So we've got to give this time to see if they can win the Premier League. In Season 1, they almost saved themselves. Man City were just 1 point away from safety, as they finished 19th in the table and eventually get relegated. In fact, they drew away to Man United on the final day of the season. Had they won that game, they would have been safe. As you would expect, thanks to a poor start to the season, Pep Guardiola was sacked and has been replaced by Hansi Flick. He seems to prefer a 4-2-3-1 formation and only looks to have made one change to the team that I would have used. Badruddin Bouanani scored 10 goals in all competitions this season and seems to be the bright spark that could lead the team in the future. We're also seeing a few of these players improve their current abilities, which is good, but obviously it wasn't enough to stay in the Premier League. However, in the Championship, I suspect they're going to do very well. So well, in fact, they top the table with 102 points to go straight back to the Premier League. And Bouanani almost got the league's top goal scorer award. He's had a massive improvement in this season, getting his current ability up to 152. But it's Zito Luvumbo who I feel is the surprise package with 16 goals and 10 assists. But a player I'm not too impressed with is right down at the bottom of the list, Mariba, who although got 7 assists this past season, hasn't really improved much as a player. If we want this team to win the Premier League, everyone has got to be improving towards their potential abilities. We can't have any slackers. But perhaps he has contributed more in Season 3, as Man City finish in 14th place with 41 points, 10 points clear of the relegation zone. Once again, Bouanani is the top scorer, followed up by Zito Luvumbo. But more impressively is Mau Hasoya, who has scored 8 goals in just 15 starts and 14 substitute appearances. His goals per 90 must be solid. But it has been another disappointing season for a few of our players, including Mariba, who has not improved his current ability at all from last season. This could be the limiting factor, not everyone improving their current abilities, and we won't have a full squad of world-class players. But in Season 4, Man City have risen up to 6th in the table and have qualified for the Europa League. That's actually incredible given the team that they've got. I was not expecting it to happen this quickly. But despite that, Hansi Flick has just been sacked. Don't really know why, it does seem a little bit odd. Once again, we are seeing the stars of the team being Bouanani, Luvumbo, Caicedo, and actually Roger Fernandez is emerging more this season as he has reached his potential ability of 160. But other players like Jamie Donnelly, Samson Baidu and Nestoroi Irakunda have not got close to their potentials. And as they start to get towards their mid-20s, there's a good chance they are never going to get there. And that is going to be a massive issue, because Man City have dropped down to 16th in the table in Season 5, only just avoiding relegation. They actually had two managers this season. Vincenzo Italiano came in for a little while before Vincent Kompany took over for the second half of the season. And Kompany seems to be enjoying a 4-4-2 formation, which is using Donnelly more, which suggests he might be getting better. He scored 5 goals in 20 starts and 20 substitute appearances, and his current ability is still way too low, but there is a chance he could actually start to move towards his potential. Caicedo and Buonanni have pretty much maxed out their potentials, which is great to see. They join Roger Fernandez, who has already done it, and also Rocco Robert Sheen, who's maxed out his potential ability at 150, and Gabriel Slaninia at 160. It's just that the players around these guys who have maxed out their potentials probably aren't really good enough. They had a very good league phase in the Europa League, finishing in 5th place, but ended up losing on penalties to Schalke in the round of 16. So we are halfway through the 10 seasons, and the only trophy they've won is the Sky Bet Championship. In Season 6, the yo-yo swings upwards for Man City, as they finish in 9th place but don't get any European football. Still managed by Vincent Kompany, Jamie Donnelly has had a breakout season as his current ability has risen to 139. If he continues to improve at the same rate, Man City could have a world-class striker on their hands. And in Season 7, he helps them back into European football by finishing in 6th place once again. This season he hit 11 goals, but his average ratings aren't that good, especially when you compare him to Buonanni and Caicedo. But still, we haven't seen the Man City team win any trophies. And they remain trophyless in Season 8 as Man City drop 1 place to 7th, but miss out on any European football. This season they made the quarterfinals of the Europa League, but got knocked out 6-0 on aggregate by West Ham. And finally, we've seen another player hit 20 goals plus for Man City since Buonanni did it in Season 2. Zito Luvumbo is a real surprise package for me. I did not know this guy was this good. As for the penultimate season, Man City dropped down to 12th in the table, just collecting 48 points. However, it turns out that actually their 7th place last season was good enough for Europa League football. It just didn't show us at the time of recording. And they made it all the way to the Europa League final, where they lost 2-0 to Newcastle. So we are still yet to see this Man City team win a single trophy. A trophy that we care about, I should say. I mean, the Championship, I'm not too fussed about that. And they aren't going to win the Premier League trophy at all, as at the end of Season 10, they can only finish in 8th place. However, a trophy has been won, as Man City lift the FA Cup 1-0 over Norwich City. A trophy has finally come back to the Etihad after 10 long seasons. We had some standout performers in Moises Caicedo, Badruddin Buonanni, Cesare Casedi, Gabriel Slaninia and Roger Fernandez. Below that, players didn't quite develop as much as I would have wanted them to. Had they got closer to their potential abilities, I think this team could have easily gone on to win the Premier League. But when they're all competing for game time, not everyone is going to have a chance to play and improve. I reckon if I was in charge and didn't leave it up to AI managers, I could have won it. I really think I could have done. If you enjoyed this video, I know you'll enjoy this next one, where I have to draft a team of players, but the only information I have about them is what club they play for. It really does put my my lack of ball knowledge under the microscope. It's not my finest hour as a football fanatic, but it's a good video, so go check it out.